Welcome again to WeDoc. Today we're going to continue with Jillian's video concerning her preface. One note of caution: if I go solely on what is presented in her preface, the avoidance of redundancy is going to be impossible. Basically, she has rehashed all information she has previously presented, but put a new face on it. Now, whether this holds true throughout her third book, I won't know until I actually get around to finishing her second book. And keep in mind, I did have to pause that because of my health. A note of clarification concerning the first video. It was brought to my attention that I made it sound as if all table salt was iodized. You can purchase non-iodized table salt, but Jillian herself has basically stated that any type will do in making ferments. As seen from the comments from her secret group, Jillian writes iodized and anti-caking is fine. This particular screenshot was taken fairly close to when she changed her Jilly Juice recipe in February of 2020.
So, briefly, I will explain the contents of this book so you as a reader will understand how everything is connected.
You cannot link dissimilar information, reinterpret it, and call that research, regardless if the information came from PubMed or academia. And who the fuck cares if it came from PubMed or Google? They are both just search engines. That's it. The difference in PubMed, it's geared towards biomedical and life science literature. Not all information should be or can be linked together. It's almost as if Jillian is partaking in free association. If the particular word or phrase or concept arises, that's what she searches, or searches for, I should say. And that's what she is going to get in the results of a research query. Jillian is under the mistaken idea that the information relates to whatever she may be attempting to explain. For example, in April of 2020, we witnessed Jillian's first foray into the topic of monoclonal antibodies. A question I posed at the time: why would researchers model mAbs after human antibodies if, as you say, quote, people die from antibodies? Question mark, close quote. The question mark is very odd. I don't know whether she was asking a question or making a statement of fact. What Jillian did in this case was to cherry pick out possible side effects listed in the initial article she read, then declared antibodies and mAbs to be a bad thing. As I stated at the time, quote, the article discusses the types of mAbs used to treat cancer before getting to the section you're interested in, the possible side effects of monoclonal antibodies, end quote.
And a strategy involving trying to link all the information together. Okay, this is this is not for the faint of heart. It has become a 5-year process with writing and rewriting as I kept evolving and peeling back the layers of belief systems.
I have to agree. Reading and or listening to any of Jillian's information is not for the faint of heart. That is, if you value facts. Keep in mind that Jillian has been upgrading for 5 years now. Since last year, she has been exposed and or self-diagnosed as having coronavirus numerous times. I lost count at 13, but I think she's up to 19 or 20 by now. So, in my opinion, the Jilly Juice has done jack shit for her. Jillian has this bizarro notion that drinking JJ will change not only your spiritual beliefs or your religion, but your political beliefs as well. Her whole body, mind, spirit shtick, I guess, is the best way to sum it up. Well, I generally do not criticize what one believes regarding what she calls a belief system. There are a few topics I do broach. At the moment, they are irrelevant. I think her initial statement way back when of homosexuals being mutants. For me, that's what started this whole shebang. One point to note, Jillian, in the beginning of her JJ protocol, basically took her rhetoric, her really only way to put it, non scientific beliefs surrounding JJ in the same category of a religion or religious belief. Now, personally, I believe in doing so. She has attempted through the years to insinuate that Jilly Juice can't be criticized because it's her belief. In other words, it's her religion. With this notion of so called religious freedom, Jillian is under the impression that it gives her carte blanche to say whatever falls from her ass. She believes that she needs to provide no evidence for her views nor any defense to criticism because it's her belief. So, in Jillian's mind, it doesn't matter what the science says. She believes that consuming over 6,900 milligrams of salt is safe. When the fact is that salt in that quantity may make you ill or kill you. Jillian's so called healing symptoms are in reality signs of salt toxicity.
I will be focusing on 5 different areas which influence indefinite life and indefinite death, as well as how they impact the body and the population as a whole.
I have to ask this. What the fuck is indefinite death? You're either alive or dead. Granted, one could consider a coma to be an in between state, but I think that's pushing it a bit. As far as the population as a whole, I believe Jillian is once again alluding to her belief in the Georgia Guidestones, as well as her rhetoric surrounding smart cities and the so-called depopulation agenda hidden within Agenda 21. The issue, contrary to Jillian's belief, we are experiencing a population increase worldwide. And for clarity, population in the world is currently, as of 2020, growing at a rate of about 1.05% per year. The current average population increase is estimated at 81 million people per year. Not a very good depopulation agenda. Jillian is a con nutter extraordinaire. While she currently states that she's not anti vaccine nor a con nutter, she sure does like them numerous talking points of both groups. We'll leave it at that for the moment.
First, I will give you my background, how this protocol started with glimpses of my childhood and professional journey in the work world and rolling this protocol out since 2017.
Generally, background information or a history is a good thing. But in Jillian's case, I believe it is a huge question mark. And I really have a tough time with this as I do not easily discount a person's history. It's not my place to judge. But as evidenced by numerous Facebook postings as well as video, Jillian has pretty much thrown her family, specifically her mother, under the bus. I personally don't know Jillian, therefore I cannot say whether she's being truthful or not. But as a fellow critic noted to me, quote,
I think JE was probably malnourished during her time in Vietnam. During those first few years when a kid's brain grows at a astronomical rate. And because of malnutrition and probably poor parenting during those first few years, she developed learning delays. And just because her mother, her adopted mother, was an educated woman doesn't mean she was aware of the importance of brain development in the first few years of life.
Now bear in mind, Jillian was born in 1972. I'll be blunt. I'm not as generous in my view. I'm sorry, this woman called me a mutant. Period.
Second, I will introduce the power of words influencing belief systems connected to numbers signifying duality and the strategies of balancing between them.
This, I believe, is referencing Jillian's words create reality shtick. It's really a bunch of mumbo jumbo, so it'll be interesting to see how she handles this. Suffice to say, she doesn't understand words, let alone syntax. I know, I don't really know how else to explain it. We'll just have to wait and see.
I will also introduce the two powers behind the planned educational system who also influence politics, religion, and science.
She is correct. Education can influence politics, religion, and science. Although I don't believe it's quite in the manner she thinks. Jillian is quite adamant about her belief that public education brainwashes or exerts undue influence on students. She has a disdain for any education, including K through 12, but primarily secondary and post secondary education. Again, I believe this dislike of education in general, besides the fact that she, as far as I know, doesn't have any secondary education beyond 12th grade, I believe this stems from her perceived family issues.
Third, I will go over why I named this book The Life of a Salesperson, and then the 2020 kickoff to the Georgia Guidestones and the COVID 19 relationship.
She also may want to brush up a bit on the plot and themes of Death of a Salesman. Basically, it comes down to Willie, i.e., Willie Loman, who is the main character of the drama, has dreamed of success his whole life and makes up lies about his and Biff's success. Biff is one of his sons. The more he indulges in that illusion, the harder it is for him to face reality. Biff is the only one who realizes the whole family lived in the lies and tries to face the truth. And it well, jumps in and out of the past and the present and then back to the past. It has absolutely nothing to do with drinking salty slop water. It has nothing to do with what she believes or has stated that, quote, death of a salesman foretold what the future is going to be and why we are here today. She states that in another video, which I'll leave a link in the description. That's not what the play's about.
So, fourth, I will focus on why people die and their journeys on their physical decline influencing their biochemistry and the archaic beliefs in Rockefeller medicine.
So, she states she is not a connoisseur and is avoiding conspiratorial mindthink in her book, but yet she uses the phrase Rockefeller medicine. A point I find disingenuous at best. As to Rockefeller medicine, Jillian is under the impression that Jilly Juice is the answer to revising the lack of belief in indefinite life. She alone was able to introduce, quote, a whole new thought process, end quote, that she believes changes the playing field. Rockefeller medicine is still here, and until Jillian can empirically demonstrate the efficacy of Jilly Juice, or Rockefeller medicine as she calls it, is going nowhere. So, yet again, this is taking a wee bit longer than I had initially planned, as we are not even halfway through this video. So yes, there will be a part 3 and possibly a part 4. So join me next time as we continue the saga of Jillian's preface.